recording as well.
Ah, right. Okay.
For our playlist on YouTube. So now here we go, day 5. Hello, Shireen.
Hello, hello, hello. Wow. Okay. So we're in the flow, as we know. So, and I'll go and I'll just quickly do this recording to get the genius going. So let's just start.
It sounds like
an affirmation. We have to do an affirmation on this. So I'm just going to do one very quickly, which is to use the affirmation that we have specific for today. So I'll just say it into the device. I'll need to redo it because it was recording at that point and I wasn't actually doing it. All right. Jav, powerful. The theme is wealth.
Right. Quite a powerful theme.
Yes, it's a powerful theme of wealth. And the affirmation, I know the energetic and materialistic laws. Application to be successful at work and career for materialistic wealth.
It's the symbol.
So I'm just going to get the harmonics. We may as well listen to them. This is how it sounds. Oh, that's great. It's up. Keep it up there while it resonates with it. Yeah, because this is just resonating, so we hear it orally. I know I haven't been doing it that's loud, but there we are. Okay, now I can just switch all the rest off. And I'm just going to let that then balance it.
Should I still keep it up?
No, that's okay. It's just analyzing now what it's received and got. And I'll use that photo because we've got the current one in. So I've used the green one. See that green photo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's just analyzing the particular today's affirmation. I'm going to type in the affirmation as well. Just, I know the energetic and materialistic laws. I know the energetic and so how have you been? What's up for you today?
What's up for me today? Just now, I've been watching the recording about wealth consciousness by Christoph Laff or Melchizedek. Oh, I cannot pronounce this name. And we were like guessing whether it's the son of this very popular author of A Flower of Life, Danilo Melchizedek. How do you pronounce it?
Melchizedek.
Melchizedek.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's his surname. I could not find out yet if that's his son, but my intuition says it is so by looking at the faces and the aura. I mean, I'm a very clairvoyant, energetic person, and I just tipped that it's him. And it was like a webinar about wealth consciousness with yet a new awareness and connected to this powerful, which is also about wealth and energetic and materialistic laws on earth. And this circle is also about Yav, which is the middle world where we live. So I thought this is just yet again such a great synchronistic event I listened to. So I'm still in this consciousness activation because, like he says, it's not just a webinar. It's like whilst we listen, your whole consciousness, your world consciousness gets activated.
Yes. Wow. So when he says that, is it because we're in the act of listening, or is it that it creates an energy because he is resonating with it? Did he explain that at all, or give a reason why?
No, he didn't give a reason why. He just said at the beginning, whilst we're listening, it's first of all the background information, which goes like really, it contains so much information in 1 hour, going back to like aliens, Anunnakis, and the development of Lemurians, which was mainly feminine based, and Atlantis, masculine based. Yeah. And now it's a very polarized patriarchal Whereas in the past, it was also first polarized matriarchal, then now we are still in the midst of polarized patriarchal society.
Yeah.
And what is so amazing that now with this age of Aquarius, where we are already in the midst of transitioning, and he also references this Kali Yuga, which we touched upon yesterday, which is like a cycle of 12,000 years, which is just now in the midst of transition in a new Yuga of like the next 12,000 years. So, and where we are transitioning, he also speaks about the flower of life, which does not contain the connection to Christ consciousness, to the source. And so what he is saying now in the midst of rebirthing for the first time, what he is calling a twin ray, which is the marriage between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, which then birth the divine child, which is then this 12 level Christ consciousness, which is outside of the flower of life, which does not contain the source connection, and does not keep in this trinity, because it does not contain the source, which is the zero. So we are now moving into a totally new geometry and new consciousness, which is just now being birthed, because it did not exist on human earth before. Because this twin ray in our DNA, and the way he describes it, how everything exists from sounds, so then to vibration, to certain patterns, which then build sacred geometry, and that's how life is built. It's formed, and we're really in a total new age where this whole code, the code of unity, and we spoke about yesterday, goddess of unity, who has been like so present with me. This is just now being born, this new way of coding, which comes to human earth, and it's packed with so much information. And so yet new insights, which I never heard anywhere before. Very exciting,
Well, he's definitely then Dhanvrala's son, because Dhanvrala talks a little bit like what he's been talking about in his Flower of Life book. So definitely there's a lot of that. And Dhanvrala did talk about the 12. So there is stuff that's there. So be interesting. I will be listening, as I said to you. I'll be doing that afterwards, so that I can also get a sense of what it's all about and feel the energy. Because if it is bringing in the energy, then the idea is if we can receive frequencies, because frequencies happen, I guess the thing that's really important for me and probably for, when we don't believe things, have this belief gap, which is what I've been reading about just recently. Why don't we change? Because there's this belief gap that goes on between where we are and where we keep saying the same old thing, but there's this belief gap. But what I was thinking in the sense of the real belief gap is that resonances will come to you no matter what. So when someone speaks to you, if that resonance is really high, you automatically are raised enough to hear it. So that's what's really lovely, because you're getting excited, and all of a sudden insights that you probably might have heard slightly, but all of a sudden they're really resonating for you, because you're at this higher frequency where you are now, and you're hearing everything, literally, which is so beautiful.
All senses, because I also listened to a webinar, because currently it's also an online summit. It's called the Return of the Witches, which is run by my fellow Soulbase coaching friend, Amir Stassen. And there was a webinar I listened to about spirit guides. And of course, like I mentioned already, I've experienced a very, very touching healing journey when I was painting my white deer below wood deer, and now he's opening me up a new Shambhala mandala, which I'm now called to paint. And of course, the Shambhala is known to Buddhists as the sacred land where very high civilization lived. And in Siberia, when I visit the sacred Mount Beluga, it is said that it's around there. And for the first time there, I had an outer bodily experience with aliens, connection to aliens.
All right.
And it was the Pleiadians. And it was exactly not far from the sacred mountain Beluga. And whilst listening to this webinar, and it was exactly this night when I started to have my moon time, and when there was this powerful full moon and lunar eclipse, and I had like constantly this like connection again with these Pleiadians, with this message I should connect more often to them. That is also a very important time now when we are transitioning to really connect who is your family. Because when I was like having for the first time this outer bodily experience, that took me to like a golden kingdom, and they said, this is my true home, the golden kingdom, together with them, and it's just now 2 years later that it starts to make sense again, that the white deer introduced himself as Belovodje. This is the sacred land around Beluga, which is said to be Belovodje. And now more and more I get these transmissions that this is this land, like this holy land, like Shambhala, or like where these higher beings, they're constantly communicating with us. This is this golden kingdom of our highest self, of our highest consciousness. And this for me is very exciting. And then when I listen to a webinar like with Christoph, who calls himself Christoph Love, it doesn't always, it's logical, but it activates in me this inner knowing, like there's a next step to connect more with the Pleiadians. What kind of message do they have to tell me? And of course, with my other spirit guides, like the white deer, and like really follow my intuition. About my next step, because we are being guided all the time if we just receive and listen and take the right next step.
I think that's the key, isn't it? Is being able to take the right next step and use that as a way to catapult you forward. I think as we're raising consciousness, we are connecting more and more to all of these people, these ancient beings or alien beings, ancient alien. They were here, so are they really ancient, or did they just never ever live on the earth? But
they're outside of time and space.
Exactly. Yeah.
And since we're interconnected, we are speaking about such a level of consciousness where there is no time and space. There is only one. That is the unity consciousness, what Nassim Haramein is talking, like Christoph Love talks about it from the wealth consciousness, which is now coming to the earth, which is totally decentralized, but it comes from our soul connection, which is also this unity code. He is saying like this twin ray, which then births this highest level of consciousness. This is the unity consciousness. And Nassim Haramein explains it from the physical, of the universal physical perspective. But it's all the same. It's all the same.
It's trying to fit it in a model that everybody can, a unified model that we can all understand, and actually allows us to come from many approaches to be able to still say the same thing. Because we will all think differently, no matter who we are, whether we have a belief. There's never going to be one belief, because the universe is always going to expand no matter what. So there's always going to be new ways, millions of ways in which you can look at something. But if there is a kind of an essence that is a general theme that goes through everything, then that's where we were talking about, be truthful to the truth yesterday, which was really about how do you look for that, ask those questions. And you don't need to know the answers necessarily, because the answers come in feeling rather than in actually something tangible. They're often in just that intuition and in that moment of just following.
Absolutely. In the in-between, in the
in
unknown.
between,
Yes.
which is why we keep having in betweens.
And this is exactly the 0 point where everything originates from, where he was explaining today, which is missing, for example, in the flower of life, because flower of life here says also in this Fabiochi in the maths,
Yeah, Fibonacci, yeah.
well. It continues from the previous patterns, but it leaves out the source, which is the 0, the beginning. So you can understand in a way, like from the very beginning, we have been following a code which leaves out the connection to source.
Yeah.
And now with the new code forming, this is a completely different existence. It encompasses the 0 because that's the 0 field energy that is the weird. That's where we all get born from. And yeah, that's like the missing part. And that's so exciting that now like we welcome it in and see what is emerging from this in between. Yeah, from the 0. From nothingness, and which at the same time contains everything. It's like this circle, like 0. It looks like, oh, 0 is nothing. Yeah, but all numbers originate from 0.
Yeah, everything comes out of nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting to see what. So in the Dranvala talks about with the Fibonacci is that when we moved out of the 0 for consciousness to exist, it by its nature was not perfect. So he shows how very closely, how when you look at a spiral, how you notice right at the very beginning, it doesn't quite look like it fits the Fibonacci or the golden mean. But as they move further out, they become closer and closer and closer to this golden mean. So almost like as we expand in consciousness, the closer we get to God. So that's what that was kind of starts to show. And in essence, as if you, I don't know, I know that you've done clean language, but if you've gone into places where you've kind of kept going and asked the power of 6, where you keep asking the same question, exactly the same question on something, you often will go sort of, it'll almost be like you'll be tunneling in or you'll be tunneling out. And in each of those, you will probably get as close as you can get to the universe or the divine consciousness. And that's because when we go those distances, because we're getting closer and closer to the oneness with it. So that's the theory of what Dranvala was saying, and Melchizedek was saying, is that the golden mean is the Christ consciousness, but we just are working more and more and more to get to that Christ consciousness, so that we are all at the golden mean or consciousness, whatever we want to call it. But it is that aspect of being able to get to that perfection. So, because when we're getting to the perfection, we are reborn, are we not? Because we are there.
But it seems to me like if he happens to be the son of Dranvala, because he is bringing it much further, like the next generation, and he adds this new information which his father, the Dranvala, was not able. And it's also about the timing, because he is now born while he's actually being born, this twin ray. It's like really actually just being born now. So all that previous experience was trying to get close to the consciousness, but it's just trying, because it was not, the portal was not there yet to this new birth of this new
all right, okay,
this new code, this unity code. So it makes sense to me, if he is like his son, that he is bringing forth and completing things which his father started, but he was not able to yet. Sometimes has to do with the timing, and he returned back to New Zealand, which is like a really high vibrational place, and he opens his healing arts neo-shamanic center, which I really excited about, because I work shamanically and also with the arts, like I mentioned all the time. And and I think we are the creative people are now called for visionaries, creative people who envision and create or rewrite this new story, which has not been there before. It's the unknown again.
Yeah.
Being the co-creators with this new emerging is very much called for, but from the highest frequency and not from the fear or from the lower frequencies, from the structures which are crumbling now everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting because the times that we were born, that we were kind of born what we would call the indigo children. And now from 2000, we have the crystal children.
The crystal children. And the rainbow children, the very new
the rainbow children.
From 2012, they are rainbow children.
Okay, so those are the children that are really shifting the frequency vibration forward for us. Yeah.
Yes. It's true. It has got something to do as well, like with the timing. And now everything is happening so quickly because we're like really in this shift from Kali Yuga and this Datura Yuga. I have to look it up how he calls it again. And this really happens. And like today, like article I sent about this month, which summarizes so well that Jupiter and Saturn conjunct like in Aquarius on the 21st, and this like opens like for 200 years cycle in the air. And those are like really long cycles as well.
They are.
And if you consider that 200 years is long for us humans,
Yeah.
In universal cosmical terms, it's nothing, but for us it is long, and then we can experience this shift in a totally new cycle. Of course, it's exciting, and I feel it from so many different like perspectives, energies, and that there is a massive shift going on.
Exciting times.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. Very
exciting. And speaking of pattern sacred geometry, it made me aware even more how important is that's what we are doing, because this is like conscious awareness, what kind of symbol I'm working on and what kind of power it contains behind it. That everything is formed on sound vibration patterns, sacred symbols, and we're literally creating by being very conscious about what we're creating. For me today, I'm looking at the symbol and look, there is a piece missing here. It's broken. So wow. My wealth stream is obviously not the way I like it. So there is obviously like a portal where it's leaking.
Or it's allowing something to come in.
Or allowing something to come in. For me, it comes to just now that there's been a leak. So I have to fix it. I have to close it to contain those energies which come from the outside. And magnetize them to me. Like if that's the wealth pattern, it was not coming to me into my house from the outside.
Well, what I love about that pattern is, remember yesterday we were talking about the ones that were going out, but also they're like little hands to receive. And now you've got some that are going out. So we've got two lots. We've got rays going out and we've got rays to receive.
Yes.
Is what's coming to mind as I look at that now. And it looks like something that's very balanced, receiving and giving, receiving and giving.
And of course, this is also the physical realm, the Yav, the Middle Earth where we live. So it has got to do with our physical, materialistic, like home, like in our bodies and materialistic world, but also like the divine world. And they interplay with each other. Yeah, so should we open the space for this powerful one?
And I'm interested because that's the color black, isn't it, that you've got there? And the black is the lower world, isn't it? The feet of the root, or the sort of a thing. So yeah, you need to fix it. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes
well, do you want to light the candle?
Like that. It's a little thing, but little action.
Well, if we believe in energy, then everything is important.
Yes.
Everything.
Exactly. Even the littlest actions done intentionally can have massive effect.
Exactly.
So let's
right.
The powerful one for this world. Yeah, materialize wealth. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all beings remain free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings remain connected to sacred joy and happiness that is totally free from sorrow. May all beings come to rest in feeling of security and peace. May all beings be happy, content, and fulfilled and wealthy.
And wealthy, yes, let's have that.
And so be it.
And so be it. It's done. Right. So the tarot card that I pulled out from this deck, it seems like, as you were saying, there seems to be similarities on the outside. But the tarot in this one is the Chariot. So the Chariot is one of the major arcanas. And it is the angel. So we've still got what's on the outside, but it's the angel. And it looks like, I'm not sure, what, as though someone has been in blood, coming out in blood. I can see that he's got one arm white and one arm red.
Yeah.
Can you see? I'm not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in the Rider-Waite pack, basically you would have a black and a white horse and someone standing behind, and he's holding he's the charioteer. And the charioteer is, so he's got a sort of a white hand and a red hand. I'm not sure quite how this one works. I don't know this deck very well, but as I look at this, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of what the Chariot is, which is about balancing your yin and yang, balancing and being in that space of holding and being in control. Even though you don't know where you're going necessarily, you are in control of that destiny in some way. And it's just about, allowing the forces to be balanced in whatever way those forces are. So I'll have a look and see what this one says with regards in the book here, because this is slightly different with the angel being in here. Does anything come to mind for you when you look at it?
Wait, it looks like she's carrying a blanket, isn't she, in red?
Yes, a cloak. Yeah.
No, a cloak. And like she wants to help him, like the angel coming to help the wounded.
So it's unusual. I mean, it's not the same as what I would imagine that's in the Rider-Waite deck. So I'm going to just have a think a little bit more, reflecting on what that is, and have a look what it means.
Welcoming angel.
A welcoming angel.
It's really like somebody, like we humans, even if we are wounded, we are cared for and welcomed by the angels, by the spirit guides.
Or if we think about the idea that, you know, in the multi-dimensions, there's always someone there. As you're saying, spirit guides, there's always someone that's there that can help us if we ask.
Yeah. Yes, if we ask, if we see them, like this man obviously looks like he looks at the angel. He's going towards the angel.
Yeah, it's a really weird one. I've never, you know, I haven't used this deck very often, but some of it I'm not quite sure how they work. So I'm going to have to really think about it, and I'll have a little look in what it says in the book, because it does have it. Let me find the Chariot. There we are. Yeah. So the Chariot on there, this is what the Chariot looks like. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
Clear enough?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it looks like in the Rider-Waite. So that's the one I know, which normally is like balancing emotion and thought. But this one says, I'm the welcoming angel, inner alchemy of the chariot, child powers of the water, lord of the triumph of light. I inspire the journey out of indecision and negativity. My embrace will teach you victory, health, and success. So it's the artist of intelligence and the house of influence, an abundance of light increasing. So basically what it's saying is that it says that I'm here for you no matter what, how deep the mud. Reach for me with confidence, for I await you. Together we can travel far into the withinness of self-realization. So when we think about what we're looking at here as a spiral in a way, or a multi-dimensional kind of our geometrics that we have today, the goddess is multi-dimensional. You can go in through something, isn't it? Withinness. So I'm both chariot and destination, carrying you when mental and emotional tributes are balanced. Through the speed, traveling light. I dissolve what holds you back, transforming body into soul and soul into spirit, and they may be more united. Be as the great one, dear alchemist, reaching towards the sweet perfumes in the presence of the angel. So slightly different from what I'd been taught about the chariot in the Rider-Waite, which is just really about balancing the mind and the body and learning the action part of it. So that's interesting to kind of have it from a perspective of the angel being there, and the idea of indecision and negativities. So yeah, but then I would understand that would be thought and emotion needing balance there. But to travel within the withinness of self-realization, I think that's a really lovely way of thinking about it. Yeah,
I think the symbol reflects it so good.
Yes, the withinness.
Yes. The withinness, like.
Yeah. And when you go there, you get a perception of traveling through time, don't you? Transforming body into
receive, like with open hands, then angelic or the divine powers for abundance and success.
Yes. And again, like it's managing your state to some degree, managing to allow yourself not to be overwhelmed by things, but to keep your faith in essence that there is something there, which the angel is always there to give you comfort. Yeah.
And
Another
the
way
water
to
seems
see
to be important as well.
Yes.
Like the mud. And I think that reminds me of the roots, like the black, like
yeah.
Or like the lotus flower also blooms from the black, or like the darkness.
Yeah.
Like the darkness comes before the light. Also yesterday in the online conference, there was like a Celtic mythologist. She speaks the very oldest Celtic calendar based on the natural cycles. Also says that it starts in November with Samhain. This is actually the start of the calendar when we getting born, yeah, in the womb, in the darkness. And then we travel through Yule, Imbolc, Beltane, where obviously Beltane is like everything is flourishing.
Yeah.
So it's again coming from the root, from the darkness into the light, and not so many like the Gregorian calendar, which is only 200 years old. They start with April, like my star sign, yes, but then when everything is flourishing, but the very old calendar, like the Celtic calendar, we don't even know how old it is, but certainly much, much older than the Gregorian one, they follow this structure from the darkness to the light and not the other way around. So also with the roots and then up.
Yeah.
Connecting with the divine, embrace being open to the angelic powers, and then bring it whole to us, like deep well, darkness, our ancestors' roots. And
the words I'm getting is safe haven is what's jumping up for me, for a safe haven. So haven in heaven, they're kind of like, just all it's got is missing is the haven has missing the E for the energy of heaven. So
nice.
So yeah, but that came to me as I started thinking about that. Yeah, safe haven.
Nice.
So you're going to draw your card?
Yeah, I've been shuffling already intuitively.
Lovely.
Okay, the Time Master.
Ooh, yes.
And I can see straight away the 8 there, which we mentioned yesterday. The 8 stands for
yes,
infinity.
we did, didn't we?
Also the 2 snakes for co-creation.
The 2 days ago, yeah. And you had a snake in the picture that you posted yesterday.
Yes, and the Goddess of Unity.
Yes.
The snake which arises from the root chakra and goes to these energy centers and like around solar plexus, sacral area.
Yeah.
Up to the heart and up to the third eye. And then she transcends and goes up to the rainbow aura. And that seems to be like an elder man. It looks like a wheel of time there in the back.
Yes. Yes, it almost, it reminds me of the Stargate. You know, the Stargate. Did you ever see the program Stargate?
No.
Yeah, it reminds me of Stargate, which is a film that a science fiction film I always used to watch. Where
so
you go through a portal, a gate to go into other worlds.
Well, he's so, even the master, the time master. So he can travel through time, obviously. Ah, there's like a Dagash rune there, really small in the middle. And the Dagash is like the rune of transformation. It's also like day and night, and it looks like glasses put on, like
Oh, yes, yes,
That
yes.
you can really see through all different dimensions. Really small there.
Let me see.
Underneath the 8.
All right. Okay. Yes, I can see it.
I can see loads of it. I mean, those are cards are also so filled with so much symbolism. The longer we look at it, the more we can see. Very potent Time Master. Okay.
Of course, time is just an illusion, isn't it?
It is an illusion in other realms. In our materialistic world, it's not an illusion. But since we are always divine beings at the same time, we are inside the time and outside of the time. It just depends what consciousness we put on, like what we focus on. Oh, the rune today is Kenash. Well, if you can see Kenash. This is the fire rune. The fire rune stands also for life force energy, for our passion, for the inner fire.
Inner fire, okay.
Showing the light in the darkness. Well, yes, the fire rune. Like someone who is going ahead with the lights, like shining the lights on the path. So here we go. First of all, I'm going to fix this part of my other symbol, wealth symbol. Consciously close the leak.
Yes, can't anything going up now. You need all the energy you have.
And it has snowed here for the first.
Oh, wow. I mean, we've got cold weather here, but we've got glorious weather. Did you see the moon last night at all?
Yes.
Oh my God, it was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
I put my crystals out, and this morning when I went to obviously do some recycling, there was the moon. It was so beautiful. So I saw it last night and I saw it this morning, and it was so beautiful.
And with this crispy clear sky, you can see it even better. Looks really mystical and beautiful. I forgot to put some water out. Now when I'm speaking with you, I need to remember to put the water out.
For?
And charge it with the moon.
Oh, yes. Ah.
Drink it very first thing in the morning. Or also charge some stones like you do, your crystal with it. That way we can bring the energies into our homes and into our bodies.
Mm.
So I fixed this one.
Good.
Today I feel like embroidering on orange.
Orange is a color that's, yeah, money. Because orange is a color of gold in a way when you see it coming out of the ground.
And it's the sacral center, sexuality,
Yeah.
creativity, and flow of money. Why not? Let's bring the money into the flow, bringing it within into our houses. Without any leaks this time, hopefully.
I'm sure it'll be fine. When last did you look at that? That particular, when last did you look at that Beregini?
This Beregini.
Yeah. Because you use them a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I always draw one intuitively before I go to sleep and put it on my heart. My bra, and I need my pillow, because obviously when I sleep, I don't wear a bra and stuff. I put it underneath my pillow. That way I connect with energies. So, but I didn't notice that obviously I didn't notice it until today.
And that's quite important, because you have noticed it today, which was really important. And maybe it wasn't there, and it just that now you needed to notice and have an awareness, which you may not have had if it hadn't been. So you're bringing that attention in a different way.
Exactly. And it's the Kenosh. The Kenosh puts light on things of awareness, brings new consciousness. The rune Kenosh.
Yeah.
And the red on orange is not really visible. So I will put gold around it later, like you did.
Yes.
Or is there anything what comes up for you right now?
I think as I'm just working here, I'm thinking more in the idea of how we come to, almost like, how do we come to a symbol? How does a symbol arrive in the same way that something arrives out of the weird? What kind of things come into play so that can manifest or exist?
Well, I believe in the power of sound, because that's how I like to work with the runes most effectively. For example, I draw weekly runes and I chant them. Or like, speaking of wealth, it's actually the rune Fehu, and you can chant Fehu, Fehu, like quite some time. Or like today, the Kanash. You can chant it, and in that way you connect to the energy of the runes. Because the first thing was sound.
Yeah.
I find it very effective. Like, you do mantras or chant the runes. Yeah, use your own sacred text. Like, I also learned from this shaman, Michael Denny, who wrote the books about advanced rune shamanism, which I refer to. And I learned the most about weird from him. he, for example, experienced the biggest transformation through the whole breath, which I do as well, or chanting weird. To the chanting, we are connecting to the sound of the universe and open up the space where things can create and receive.
So just to start with the chant. So, and out of the chant comes something.
Yes, chant is, for me, I experience like opening space and connecting to certain energies of the sound. And I mean, you can even measure it nowadays, isn't it? That's why there's the miracle sound, there's the wealth sound, there's the health sound, yeah? You can measure it nowadays, like you're doing it with the genius map there.
Yeah.
And you can strengthen it to your own chanting, singing.
I suppose, you know, where the thought is going is when you think about, say, for example, the beginning of all. So the beginning of all, there wasn't ears to hear. You know, humans didn't exist at that point. So how did that resonance create an effect? That's what I'm thinking. And how did things know how to begin to exist?
They sing. I watched a video before, like particles and atoms that all have got their own sound. That's why I love the whale sound, for example. The whale sound is connected to the universal sounds. And they can even measure certain stars, but they have got a certain sound. Everything starts with a sound. Like we have got all the unique sounds in the universe, which exist only once. And there's a video once like that, how the stars sing. It's beautiful. And also how the whales sing, and it's like a really beautiful song. Taking them together, like the sounds, like wow, amazing. So I can really see how it works, like sounds, then it vibrates, and then it forms like unique other like vibrations, patterns. And is there for you a god or a goddess who comes up? Or?
I think the goddess I'm thinking of Diana of the Woods is kind of coming up for me right now. She was always depicted with a bow. In mythology, she had the bow. So I suppose that's kind of like an arrow or a needle. She was the huntress.
Greek. Is that Greek?
Yeah. Yeah, I think she is Greek. I don't think she's Roman. Diana. Yeah, I think she's Greek. She's probably in the sense of the seeker. So she's seeking for something. So she's hunting for something.
So what is she hunting for?
I'm just having a look at what I've got here. She's just hunting for, so she's part and parcel of looking for how life exists, how life works. In my thinking. She hasn't right now. I think what I'm really focusing a lot on this safe haven which came in, and I think that's there's some of when we're in the woods, we are in a haven because we're amongst the trees, we're amongst friends, really. When I think about that, and she's very close to nature.
Mm.
And has anything come up for you?
Yeah, this time master reminds me of Odin. So Odin,
yeah,
which is the in Norse mythology is the.
And we had his horse the other day.
Yeah, we had his horse Sleipnir to the Equus rune. So he is present. And the interesting thing about Odin, I mean, he gets all his wisdom from the Norns.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Norns have been actually
He's
writing like only through the connection with the Norns and the muse Beregini. It was like the book was written through them, really. I was just a vessel. And that's where I found it very funny because Odin, he hanged himself 9 days from the world tree, upside down, and he lost his left eye, all to receive the wisdom of the Norns about the runes. And he had to bring quite a lot of victims. Like
he had to lose a lot.
He had to lose quite a lot to receive this wisdom. Yeah. And then he's now a master of time, but it's in a way like he does not really own it.
Yeah.
There is still something beyond him, like the giantess, like the most powerful creatures. They are called giantesses, which are said to weave all timelines. Yeah, speaking of time.
Yeah.
Because they've got it all in their hands, the timelines of the past, present, and future. So in order to become a master of time, or like the Odin, a master of the runes, or like of this wisdom, which preconceives all time, we kind of have, I don't know, like lose everything. Or like lose our, we have to really surrender. Yeah, it's like even the most powerful God has to surrender himself to receive the wisdom, to humble himself.
Yeah.
For me, it comes like to surrender to a very deep power beyond our imagination, and very, very ancient and powerful. And we can never comprehend it. We just have to surrender to it.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't need to know. I suppose that's what I'm getting. You don't need to know the how or the why. You just need to know that it does. So you know, like I was thinking, well, what's the start? How did you know, you have sound, but how did the sound decide at that moment to create? Or how did whatever was inside know that it wanted to become? That's the bit. And maybe there's that part of the mystery. We may never know.
Mm-hmm. We may never know. And I think that is for me a true master, having a beginner's mind. And it's like to surrender to always something higher and bigger than our limited selves. Time is also just a construction. Our identities are just a construction.
Oh, we're 3 o'clock already.
Yeah, so time to wrap up. Any final thoughts? And also the genius, what is the genius saying?
Oh, let me have a look. Let's just do another balance. Go back to the aura. This was the early picture. I don't know if you can see it. I'll put it on the thing. Wait, where am I looking?
I can certainly see a lot of blue.
There's still a lot of blue, but at the bottom there is green. And there's blue, there's sort of purplish color here. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
If I do that. It's I mean, I haven't got the main light on, so it should be. Oh, that's where I was yesterday, wasn't I? I did that. There we are. Now you can see it better.
But mainly like light blue.
So there's blue, there's different blues. There's also purple there. And there, yeah. So let's see what, I'm going to do another analysis now that we've been looking. Oh my goodness, that's a different picture.
So this is at the beginning and the second picture is now.
Yeah, ask me today. The second picture is I did a balance. I did a balance, a quick balance, just because, you know, where we were to where we're coming. So there are always going to be frequencies that are coming and going. So there's different layers. So there may be some blockages, which was part of, you know, some things, but this is what we've got now.
Oh, that really looks like rainbowish.
More rainbowish, yeah. We've got, you know, quite a deep bronze color, actually. Quite a deep bronze. Gold, which is the money wealth. There's some blue in there.
Nice.
So I'll post that. Yes, yes. So the bronzes and the gold are the moving up, and really what my gut is sort of telling me is that, you know, part of where we have fear, we shut down. But when we start opening up, this sort of everything starts to move. Things become more golden. They become more brighter in different ways. So I think that's what that, and we're focusing on wealth right now. So we're getting quite a lot of gold. So I think that might be depicting a little bit of what we've been looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So
any final words for you?
I think what's come up for me is really about the two things. One is that there is something about blessing and you know, being okay, not knowing, the not knowingness, being humble in the sense of maybe recognizing that you don't always need to know, but always still ask the question, because that's kind of part and parcel of what's important. So that's one of the things which might be, I think, an aspect, and also that we are being supported. So the chariot, which we saw today, that the angels, the beings are there for us. And obviously, the more that we ask, the more we will receive the help, because that's what they're there for. They want us to ask for their help so they can guide us. And you, what's yours? What's
So
coming
for
up?
me, it's like being the master of surrendering. Like not the time master, but the master to surrender to the angels who are always there, or the giantesses, the nuns, or any gods or goddesses. And there's this higher, higher force, unified love consciousness. And we just have to be able to surrender to that. And that's when we are true masters, because something bigger than what we can ever understand can weave through us.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, also the future of this new wealth consciousness as well. If we can surrender to those highest frequencies and just let the rest be done. You don't have to struggle or try to make it so hard and everything. Yeah, so it's being the master of surrendering. Even as the highest god of Odin, he received his highest wisdom through surrender to something more powerful than him.
Yeah. And he recognized that it was important for him, that it was worth that risk, wasn't it? He believed it was worth that. To lose an eye in order to have more knowledge. So there's something important that it needs to be, that we must value it as much. So where are we placing our value?
Yeah, so I think we can wrap it up here. I'm not completely finished. I will continue to finish the gold around it.
Oh, that looks lovely. Oh, you can see the red on that. It's not too bad.
But I feel like I want to add gold today,
more.
because it's with the wealth as well. And
yeah,
gold reminds me of money.
Oh yeah.
So I want to add that today.
Yes, gold is money. Yes. Okay, well, this has been beautiful. And I think it's just lovely to be able to just think about this. And I'm so excited about the Christoph of Love. So I'm going to listen to that in a bit as soon as I can. And yeah, we'll have a discussion about that tomorrow.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
As always looking forward to anything which arises when we're opening the space. Thank you.
Thank you for being there and listening.
Thank you.
And thank everybody else that comes on, which is, hopefully they've enjoyed it. And we look forward to seeing your Bereginis.
Yeah, thank you for everybody who's weaving the threads together with us.
One thing for sure, we've seen so many people
in your own way, in your own times.
Exactly. And people are doing it so differently, which is so nice to see so many different versions and how they're connecting. And it's just beautiful, beautiful, really touches my heart.
Yeah.
How people are connecting. Yeah. Good. Okay. Take care. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Many blessings to you, to everybody on the threads. And until we meet again, Blagadaru.
Blagadaru. Take care.